Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver. In the last part we made our way to Pewter City and then headed east towards Mount Moon, and here we are in the titular area. Yo! Hi there, been a little bit. Hey Kyle, you here in Kanto too? Some of the trainers here are tough, which makes it easy to train my Pokemon. Kyle, I know that you are strong, but I can't help but challenge you. Well, your attitude seems to have improved dramatically since we last met in Victory Road, so why not? Sixth battle, I think this is, against Silver. He's starting off with his Sneasel. Still has Inner Focus for its ability, so you can't make it flinch. Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, Icy Wind, and Quick Attack. This is by and large the same party we fought in Mount Moon, but with level boosts, and I think the occasional moveset change? At this point, if you beat him the last time, you're probably going to beat him this time, especially if you took as long to get to Mount Moon as I did. Again, in some ways, the level curve seems to indicate they want you to head to Pewter City first and then go along the original Gen 1 gym route. But there's no real reason to do that? Especially given, again, where you get placed in Kanto to start. If they say, had you meet up with Professor Oak or one of his aides in Vermilion, then they took you over to Pallet Town, and then just kind of placed you in a straight pathway to get to Pewter City, that would make this level curve make a little more sense. At least a little. Also, even though it's not going to last long, Silver's for Alligator, Waterfall, Ice Fang, Slash, and Crunch. Something I should also note, it really feels like Totodile is the starter with which Silver does best, because out of curiosity, when researching for this particular video, I looked at his team differences between your starters. By and large, his team only really changes the starter. But moveset-wise, like at this point in particular, his Typhlosion has Flamethrower, Flame Wheel, Quick Attack, and Swift. And his Meganium has Light Screen, Petal Dance, Synthesis, and Poison Powder. Without a doubt, the Feraligatr gets the best moveset there. Next up, though, his Golbat still has Inner Focus, so you can't make it flinch. Poison Fang, Air Cutter, Confuse Ray, and Bite. For a while, I used to think this fight was, I don't want to say time-sensitive, but you could only fight it at certain times of day. I'm wrong about that entirely, though. It's the next fight with him that is dependent on the day of the week that you fight him. And we'll show that off more or less at the very end of the LP. It's one of the last things I do, even. With that said, this fight is still technically optional, but I think if you want to do the next two events with Silver in the game, you need to fight him here? I think? I've only done, like, super endgame events in Heart Gold and SoulSilver, like, every single version of the Elite Four, every single version of Silver, a couple of times, so I'm a little in the vague on that, honestly. His Magneton, though, Magnet Pull for its ability, so Steel types can't swap out. Discharge, Thunder Wave, Magnet Bomb, and Supersonic. A surprising amount of Supersonic-esque moves on his team. In fact, out of the 24 moves, it takes up about 3 of them? That's a bit much, I'd say. At least for my playstyle. Hell if I know, competitive-wise. But his Kadabra's evolved at this point. I think it was a Kadabra the last time we saw it. It's now an Alakazam. Still has Synchronize for its ability, so be careful if you're trying to inflict status ailments. Psychic, Reflect, Recover, and Disable. Overall, a better moveset. Disable, in fact, is one of the few, like, non-normal status ailment-causing moves I've considered using in a lot of cases, because if I just know what the opponent's going to use and start with that, I can completely nullify a fourth of their learn set, and that's pretty useful. Especially if you're going up against, say, Claire's Kingdra, and you just want to take out that, either the Hydro Pump or the Dragon Pulse. Probably Dragon Pulse in most cases, because you can at least have water types that can absorb the water at this point, or at that point, rather. There's a genuine reason this particular battle stands out to me, but I'm not going to get into why until we get into the last battle with Silver, where anything that he's going through is going to be fully finalized. For now, though, it's time for his final Pokemon, his Gengar. Levitate for its ability, because it's a Gengar. Shadow Ball, Confuse Ray, Curse, and Mean Look. I should also note, I forget if I showed it off at this point, but my Gengar no longer has Curse at this point, just because I don't think the HP cut is that worth it at this point in the game anymore. If only because of how much more HP I have. I see. And we're coming to Kanto just to show off. With that said, it's still a Gengar. Very fast, good special attack, but it's very squishy. But just not squishy enough for me to one-shot it. Damn you, Gengar. With that said, Silver is definitely the hardest thing you're going to do in Mount Moon ever in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and even any other version of Gen 2. As this place has been radically reduced in size since any version of Gen 1. To a shocking extent, even. Huh, I guess it can't be helped. My training's still not good enough? My Pokemon are so weak, it makes me frustrated. But I can feel they're getting better after each battle. They're still too weak. I need to give them more training. I know, I should take them to Dragon's Den. See you, Kyle. And that's a hint for where we can next find him, but we're not going to do that for a while now, after I go healed. So Mount Moon is noticeably smaller. It's only 2 floors, and the exit towards Cerulean is directly to our south right now. You can still find the usual Pokemon in here from the original game. Zubats, Geodudes, some Sandshrews, Parises, Clefairies as well. I can't even find one down the line. What's most notable is that there's now a top floor to this place. And this is a very different song. I should note when I recorded this footage, it was a Monday night. The reason I'm noting this is because at that specific time frame, things are a little different here. We can see this madness. Clefairy are aliens, by the way, if memory serves, and that's an easy way for you to get a Moonstone. I think you can even repeat that over and over again. This event was in the original game, but I think you had to use Rock Smash to get the Moonstone. But you might notice there's a building here. This is a shop. I'm never actively entering it because it's only open, I believe, from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's mostly here to justify the existence of the Mount Moon Square besides the Clefairy event. You can buy, I think, all 3 of the department store rooftop sodas there, base repels, one of the various male types, and I think a Pokédoll. Nothing super important. Mount Moon here, drastically reduced in size. For the better? Maybe. For now, though, I found a Clefairy, and that is an exceptionally rare encounter. In fact, let me get the exact encounter rate of that one up real quick. Let's see. Generation 4, 5%, so yeah, I'll catch that. Not often I run into 5% encounters. And you know what? It's pink, it's tiny, I know exactly who to name this after, even though I'm not actually going to use it. Welcome on in, Iggy. As soon as I remember how to type, there we go. With that said, our business in Mount Moon is completed completely, unless you're doing Pokédex completion. So we're now clear to head east into, I think it's Route 4? Route 4 doesn't have much of super interest in it. You can catch a Jigglypuff here occasionally. And I think the most interesting Pokemon you can catch using any of the special methods is like a Buizel. Back in the original game, this is where you found, I think it was Mach Punch and Mach Kick, or Mega Punch and Mega Kick, from 2 NPCs that could teach you up here. Those are gotten via TM in this game, so I don't have to worry about that. With that said, this is the reason you have to take Diglett's Cave to get to Pewter City, as this route ends with a series of one-way ledges, so if you come to Cerulean first, you're just gonna have to go out of the way. Oh well. Such a big inconvenience. If anything, that means you can do the power plant quest much earlier in Kanto, I guess. With that said, time for our first new Pokemon for the part. This is Furret. This evolves from a Sentret at level 15. Pure normal type, so it is weak to fighting, immune to ghost. fur, it's adorable, and it's got some decently high speed for a very early game Pokemon, but being pure normal type, its learn set is both really cool, but also nothing. By leveling up, it doesn't learn a lot of super interesting moves, but TM-wise, you can teach them a lot of good stuff. For an early game Pokemon, if you're looking for something that can learn some odd stuff, you can do a lot worse. You just have to catch a Sentry at the start of the game, which I didn't. Speed up theme for this part, by the way, is the Spaceland theme from, I believe this is the Mario Party 2 rendition, or it's the Superstar rendition. I can't remember which one I grabbed. Mario Party Superstars is a fantastic time, by the way. And if you do get hit by 3 lasers on a single board of it once. That was just pain. I had 300 coins total between that game, maybe more, and they were all just wiped away. Also one of the few NPC trainers that's not a gym battle you'll actively see swap out their Pokemon. Pokemon battle AI is weird, because for random trainers, sometimes, depending on, I want to say the class of trainer, they'll swap out Pokemon and be more accurate with type-effective moves. But a lot of the time, they just don't seem to care, but it also might depend on the game at this point, honestly. And now we're back in Cerulean. So I'd say it's about time we jump cut back to Pewter, and finally head through Viridian Forest. Now, I mentioned this, I think it was last part, Viridian Forest was reinstituted back in for Heart Gold and SoulSilver in the original Generation 2. They just placed the single tiles of trees that you find around the map everywhere else, and just sort of formed the layout of it within the same map data as main Route 2, and it felt really small and unimportant. With that said, it's Viridian Forest, so unfortunately it is kind of small and unimportant. I think, besides the addition of new items and a slightly tweaked layout, even the trainers are by and large identical to their original versions, even if they just have the evolved version of all the Pokemon they would have had back when. But as for Pokemon you can find around here, the usual entire Caterpie and Weedle line depending on your version. Pikachus are still around here if you're looking for one of them. Pidgeotto's the out here, which I believe is a direct reference to the anime? Hoot Hoots, Noctowls. If you're using Headbutt, you can find some rarer bug types like Ladybug, Spinarak, Seedot, and Shroomishes as well if you like any of those from Gen 3. And the interesting thing you can find around here is that I think this is the only area in the game with a swarm of Cricketots that can show up every now and then. So if you're looking for that specific Gen 4 bug type, go off. I'm not, but it's there. And you can also find, I think, Spoinks and Carnivines and shit with the sounds. I at least appreciate that they brought it back as its own mainstay area, because Viridian Forest is weirdly iconic. Does that mean they should have basically copy and pasted its layout for that one forest in Gen 6? No. No. I know it's very much overset at this point, but there really is just too much Gen 1 in Pokemon. I know it's where it started, but when it is in Gen 1 as the original game, Gen 2 is half of the game, Gen 3 as the remake, Gen 4 as the latter half of Heart Gold and SoulSilver. It really took until Gen 5 for them to kind of wean away from that a bit and then just go back into it hardcore with Gen 6, because my god, Kalos is full of way too much Kanto. Gen 7's a little bit better about it, barring some weirdness here and there, and Gen 8, Gen 8's got some of it too, but nowhere near as much. I think the big thing with it in Gen 7 or 8 is that we also got Let's Go in there, and I forget if that's a Gen 7 or 8 game. I want to say it's Gen 8 because of Melmetal, but I don't remember at this point. Now, there's also another purpose to this area that we're going to see down the line, but it's a very blink and you'll miss it, or be here at the wrong time and you'll miss it kind of thing. But we'll talk more about that in... I'm going to make a real estimate here. 8 or 9 parts, maybe? At a minimum? I'm frankly unsure. I think recording-wise, we're only in like session 15 or 16 out of like 27. Hello, phone call. Oh, hey, this is the bike shop. I've been selling a lot of bikes lately. It's because you've been riding around on that bike advertising for me. I was wondering how best to thank you, and I thought I'd just give you that bicycle you're riding around. It's yours. Thanks so much. I'm not sure what the timer is on that, because genuinely I haven't been riding around on the bike much in this LP at all, on-screen or off-screen. When I'm using the bike more actively, I usually get that by, like, Blackthorn City at the latest. This is the latest I think I've ever gotten that particular phone call. With that said, now we're done in Viridian 4, so now it's time for us to head towards Viridian City, with a lot more trainers in our way. With that said, most of these are technically optional, as either they look the wrong way, or you can just use a cut tree to our east and then just go all the way south into the bottom of the round. Oh, this reminds me. I've already gotten basically every important phone number for evolution stones in Kanto at this point. I just forgot to note them. For instance, Camper Tanner back on Route 13, the horizontal route just south of Vermilion just about. They give away sunstones occasionally. Birdkeeper Josh on Route 14 gives away shiny stones. Twins K and T on Route 15 gave away oval stones, and Biker Aiden on Route 17 gives away dawn stones. And then I think Biker Reese on the same route gives away the dusk stones. So if you're looking for any like the Gen 3 and 4 evolution stones, that's where you get them. You can still find one or two in the wild just as items, but if you're looking for a lot of them, like the evolution stones in Johto, you gotta wait for a phone call, and that's annoying. It's a wonder I managed to do all this to complete the Gen 4 Pokédex back in the day. The only thing I think I had to do that was technically cheating for that was, at that point I think I missed any of the important events for a lot of legendaries and mystery gifts. So I ended up, I think, having to, like, just spawn a Pokemon in the wild, but I still would catch it as normal, try to get to as close to the level as it could be. Would modern me do that like that? Probably not. Because if I want to go for any kind of Pokédex completion, I try to be very genuine about it nowadays. But sometimes there's just a situation, like a Mew, where there's no really easy way to get one in any regards besides hacking. Now this here is the trainer house. This is, I believe, where the trainer school was in the original Gen 1. This kind of ties in with the Pokewalker, an accessory I've yet to talk about, and I probably should talk in more depth about. The big problem is, there's no easy way for me to showcase footage of it without just, like, getting a good camera and recording my own Pokewalker after putting in a new watch battery at this point. But I might as well talk about it while I'm down here, because the big thing is, if you run into any other trainers with your Pokewalker, I believe, you can run into them here as active battles. And this actively gives you battle points to use at the battle frontier, so it's worthwhile to do, or at least it was back in the day, when you had a chance of, like, going to any semblance of a convention or mall, and then just hoping that you kind of ping the Pokewalker like its Street Pass would later be on the 3DS. But there is an NPC you can battle here, and I think they are here every day. And if they have a new Pokemon for me to talk about, so I might as well do it. So let's save, because this is technically online functionality, and they don't want anything to get corrupt. This particular NPC is interesting in that they have all 3 Johto starters at their full evolution. With that said, I don't think fighting them counts for the Pokedex, maybe? But I might as well take this moment to talk about the one they're throwing up first, Meganium. This is the final evolution of Chikorita, evolving from Bayleaf at level 32. Pure grass type, so it's weak against flying, poison, bug, fire, and ice. Good defense and special defense. But its learn set is just not the greatest, even in Gen 4. It gets some good things like Solar Beam, later games I think it gets Petal Blizzard. But it's just the least interesting of the 3 Johto starters to use, even though in the right hands, it probably can be absurd. So now let's talk about the Pokewalker. The Pokewalker is sort of a precursor to Pokemon Go in a lot of ways. It was a pedometer that you could clip onto your pants and just walk around and record your steps. And you could transfer a Pokemon from the game's main menu into it to walk with you, either, I think, boosting friendship or experience points. And you got more areas of the Pokewalker as you used it, in which you could find various Pokemon and items with the Pokeradar or dowsing machine. And the more steps you took, the more watts you gathered, which allowed you to either use the Pokeradar and dowsing machine or unlock new areas as you went. You also could only unlock some areas to walk in with your Pokemon after getting the National Dex, and some were only gotten through events, like transferring a Jirachi to Heart Gold and SoulSilver, or getting a Pokemon from a different country on the GTS. The list of areas is Refreshing Field, Noisy Forest, Rugged Road, Beautiful Beach, Suburban Area, Dim Cave, Blue Lake, Town Outskirts, Hoenfield, Warm Beach, Volcano Path, Treehouse, Scary Cave, Sinnohfield, Icy Mountain Road, Big Forest, White Lake, Stormy Beach, Resort, Quiet Cave, Beyond the Sea, Night Sky's Edge, Yellow Forest, Rally, Sightseeing, Winter's Path, and Amity Meadow. As for the list of everything that it has there, I'm not going to go every single one of those because they all have a kind of decently long list of items and Pokemon, but just give an example. Refreshing Field, for instance, the starting one. You can get Kangaskhan's there, Doduos, both Nidorans, Pidgeys, Sentrets, Revives, Full Burns, Burn Heals, Ice Heals, Chesto Berries, Awakening, Cherry Berries, Paralyze Heals, Oran Berries, and Potions. The biggest thing to note, I just recommend looking up if you're super curious. It's not like Pokewalker functionality is outright doable on emulator nowadays. Although I think there is some team working on like an emulator for it of sorts. I'm not sure how far they are in progress with that. The big thing to note is if you have the actual cartridge, manage to find one with a Pokewalker, or just get one used off like eBay because I don't think it's locked to the cartridge. The Pokewalkers are partially why you can catch upwards of about 450 out of Gen 4's 493 Pokemon in Heart Gold and Soul Silver alone. They were very key, and I have distinct memories of just shaking my Pokewalker in my hand on my bus to school and from school to just get steps on that. And looking back, that was a bad place to do it because even though I never got caught, the hand motion I was doing could be very easily misconstrued. This gym doesn't have a leader. A young man from Pallet Town became the leader, but he's often away. So we better go check out Pallet Town then. And with that, I believe we're about to breach into the classic Route 1. Route 1's where I should note something. By and large, any Pokemon on a route are still the level they would have been in the original Generation 1 when you encounter them on that route. So if you encounter a Pidgey here on Route 1, they'll still be about level 2. Same with the Rattatas. It's weird. I don't get why they do that. I mean, yes, that technically makes some of them easier to catch, but that means any grinding you could do in Kanto is just regarded to either after you've done the 8th gym leader, after you've gotten to a point where you can be on one of the surf routes towards Cinnabar, because those Pokemon are around the mid to late 30s at least, or by using the extraordinarily bad Pokegear rematch system. Generation 2 and Heart Gold Soul Silver have so many weird balance things that just don't feel good. And the older I get, the more apparent that is compared to even Gen 3. But at least Heart Gold Soul Silver adds new Pokemon for us to face, as I mentioned plenty of times before. Starting out here, even we got an Absol, a Generation 3 pure Dark type, meaning it is weak against Fighting, Bug, and eventually Fairy, but immune to Psychic. Absol is great. High physical attack, decent enough special attack, and okay speed even if its defenses and HP aren't too great. You could do a lot worse for a pure Dark type, especially back in the original Gen 3. Frankly, Absol gets my recommend, if only because it's a standalone evolution Pokemon with a stat over 100, which is how they should be done in a lot of cases, especially if you get them in the later third of a game in a lot of cases. I like them a lot. Were they better prior to the physical special split? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Really depends on your playstyle. I still like them. Even if I probably won't use one, for instance, when I get to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Hi. Red's been away. He hasn't called either, so I have no idea where he is or what he's been doing. They say no news is good news, but I do worry about him. Man, Red, what are you doing, man? You changed your name from my name between games, and now you're just completely absent from home. Your mom misses you, man. I hope wherever he is, he's really cold. Pallet Town, though, is basically unchanged from it was back in the day. Just Red and Blue's house, and Oak's lab. Hi, my kid brother is the gym leader in Viridian City, but he goes out of town so often it causes problems for the trainers. So Blue's now the gym leader in Viridian, huh? I mean, I guess Giovanni did kind of like disband Team Rocket and get on out of there, didn't he? Let's go check in on Professor Oak while we're here too. What do you have to say first? Cool. Technology is incredible. You can now trade Pokemon overseas like email. Haha, back when that was new and refreshing. It did do a lot for Pokemon, though, being able to trade cross nations like that, because using the link cable was never comfortable. Same with the wireless adapter on the Game Boy Advance, even though it's a very iconic look for the GBA for me. Ugh. So how you doing, Oak?
Ah, Kyle, it's good of you to come all the way to Kanto. What do you think of the trainers out here? Pretty tough, huh? Not really. Ah, you're collecting Kanto gym badges. I imagine that it's hard, but the experience will surely help you. Come see me when you get them all. I'll have a gift for you. Keep it up, Kyle. So, how's your Pokedex coming along?
Why not?
Let's see, you've seen 205 Johto Pokemon and caught 57. I see. You're trying, I can see that. Your Pokedex is coming together.
So I've caught about 1/5 of the ones from Johto, and seen about 4/5. That's not too bad. Honestly, mind you, with how common a lot of the Pokemon from Gen 1 and 2 are throughout the game, that's not too surprising. Speaking of which, we're now heading south onto Route 21. Now, most of the Pokemon here aren't anything of real note. It's the usual water Pokemon, Tentacools, Magikarps. You can, I believe, find both Chinchows and Lanturns by fishing. The most interesting Pokemon, though, are in the grass at the very top of the route, because I think that's the only wild grass outside of, like, the Safari Zone, where you can catch Tangalas and Mr. Mimes, no matter which version you're playing. They are a little hard to find, though, because I think Mr. Mimes are most common at the day where they're only about a 10% encounter. So good luck! With that said, there's still a lot of new Pokemon to note on the way around here, because there are so many trainers on this route, it's kind of weirdly overpopulated. And first off on this route, the new Pokemon we got is a Corsola. In fact, this fisherman only has 4 Corsolas. Water Rock type, which means they're weak to fighting, ground, grass, and electric. Grass is a 4 times weakness. While I like the Kabutops and Omastar lines that have that exact typing a lot, Corsola's just not that good. Its highest stats are both of its defenses, and they're not even that high. It genuinely just is not a very good Pokemon. It can learn some interesting moves here and there, but overall, Corsola got a lot better when it got the Galarian regional variant, which also gained an evolution, which made it a lot more useful in comparison. Helps that it had, you know, a good attacking stat, which is something I like to see personally, but that's mostly because I'm super aggressive. Also, this is one of my favorite NPC prior to match dialogues because it's just so stupid. I love bikinis. If I had an electric bikini, I could wear it even in winter. Lady, that would kill you. But you know what? I appreciate your dedication to your aesthetic. I don't usually give just the random trainer dialogue before battle enough credit. Sometimes there's some really funny ones, if only because sometimes it's like, man, you don't have a care in the world, or man, you have no idea what you're doing, but you're trying. I always remember being so proud, though, when I was a kid playing any version of Kanto and getting to this route in particular. Because, for some reason, Cinnabar area towards the Indigo League was very hard for me to get to as a kid. So even getting this late, even if I couldn't get past, say, parts of the Pokemon Mansion super easily, it just made me feel so impressed. Because I was bad at games, especially Pokemon. Speaking of Pokemon, though, even though that's the entire LP, time for a new one. Gideon here's got himself a Lantern, the evolution of Chinchou that I've mentioned several times already. Water electric type, meaning it is weak to ground and grass exclusively. Very high HP stat, and some good special stats to back that up, even if they're not great. I like this Pokemon a lot, though, just because you can get a lot of good HM use out of it if you just want to have, like, the first evolution around as an HM user. But it's always just been a very usable Pokemon to me. Helps that it has some good abilities. It's got Volt Absorb, which is water absorbed from Vaporeon, but it works with electric attacks. And Illuminate, which isn't much to my taste, but if you like grinding, it increases the encounter rate, so you can get battles more quickly. Kind of surprising, though. There's only like 3 water electric type Pokemon in the entire series so far from memory. This line and I think one of the Rotoms. But with how many real-life creatures have some sort of like electrical pulse type thing they can do underwater, you think we have a few more. think the closest we have to a sort of unofficial fourth one is a certain electric type from Gen 5 that happens to resemble an eel, but that's not really the same thing. With that said, Gideon has another new Pokemon for us to fight. This is Mantine, a Gen 2 Pokemon that got a pre-evolution in Gen 4, even though I always remember, for some reason, its pre-evolution being in Gen 2 as well. Water flying type, so it's weak against rock and electric, immune to ground. Electric is a 4 times weakness. Mantine's got some very high special defense and okay special attack and speed as well, but its physical stats and HP are kinda lackluster for my tastes. It at least has an okay defense stat overall, at least it's like a 70 or so. I like the typing, not a big fan of that stat layout. It could be good for at least special tanking, especially prior to Gen 3, or prior to Gen 4, where you can more reliably predict what moves a Pokemon's going to use based off of that alone. Route 21 always kind of surprises me though, because it's such a straightforward route, but it's weirdly wide for its size. So there's a lot of trainers just kind of hidden behind some rocks in a corner your screen might just completely ignore. Especially here in Gen 4/Gen 2, where the layout of Cinnabar Island's a little different, so getting onto it, you actively need to approach it from the south. Now, this random bird keeper here in the middle of the water for some reason also has a new Pokemon for us. This is Dodrio. It evolves from Doduo at level 31. Normal flying type, so it's weak against rock, electric, and ice. Immune to ground and ghost at least. Dodrio is one I used to write off a lot, but it's got some good speed and physical attack behind it, even if its special stats and defense and HP aren't that great. I've used one a couple times. It has Tri-Attack, which can be useful in some cases. Normal flying types were okay in Gen 1 through 3. And by that I mean the variants they had in each game, like the Pidgey line, the Fearow line, the Tailo line, and the Doduo line. It's just the other subtyped flying Pokemon were usually more interesting to me. And reward for very out-of-the-way trainer goes to this girl. With that said, though, let's now approach Cinnabar Island, where things are looking a little bit taller for some reason. Huh. Well, that's oddly somber music. What happened here? There's a notice here. Cinnabar Gym's been relocated to Seafoam Islands. Blaine, what happened here? Ravage Town... Okay, what the hell happened here? Also, hi, Blue. Who are you? My name's Blue. I was once the Kanto champion. Although it was short-lived thanks to Red. Anyway, take a good look around you. A volcano erupts, and just like that, a whole town disappears. We can go on winning and losing in Pokemon, but if nature so much as twitches, we can be overwhelmed in a second. That's the way it is. But anyway, I'm still a trainer. If I see a strong opponent, it makes me want to battle. If you want to battle me for real, show me how many Kanto badges you've got. 6. You're not ready to battle me. I don't know why just completely destroying Cinnabar and leaving it as somber as it is an oddly powerful move that I wish Kanto had happened more often to show how time had passed. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 30, we're going to head east to Cinnabar towards the Seafoam Islands and take care of Gym 7. See you guys then.